teased in one at a time. It loves to feed, it loves my past. It's always taunting, but somehow out of grasp. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. It talks to me, it holds my hand, it showers me with things I can't understand. It has no reason, it knows no time, it's constantly watching, so it's not left behind. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. You 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 know I'll never be the same again. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. 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 I know I'll never be the same again.
What's up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you, the Metalheads Radio Podcast.
And DJ Neko here on the whatever the fuck it is, Metal Tavern Radio.
This is so unscripted because we weren't even playing shit. But
And then I was like, I hadn't seen the end of his entrance, and I was like, who the fuck is she? How is she influential or important in history? And
I don't know if it's influential. Like, I just threw shit up there. Like, that's all I do is just
you
throw
need to
shit.
find like someone influential to put at the end, not her.
Who cares?
But your whole intro is about important times.
It's about death. I could put the Reaper. I mean, that would.
It's about important times in history, like.
All right, sure, yeah.
But not that bitch. Who the fuck is she? Oh, some bitch.
Could be, who knows. Anyway, this is another episode of Global Unscripted where basically we talk about like current events,
We talk about
internet
global
drama.
unscripted.
Yeah, crazy shit all the time. But let's say hello to some of the people in chat. Goji!
Hey, Gucci.
Is up in this bitch.
I don't have my phone.
You should go get your phone.
I need to. I
Also
need.
got Kevin Lambert, Entertainment Headquarters.
Oh my god! Hey, Kev.
Straight from New York, New Mexico. I was going to say New York.
Who's in New Mexico? Oh,
Brian Sanchez. Yeah.
Oh my god! I love Albuquerque.
Yes.
I was in Albuquerque about 4 or 5 years ago. It was beautiful. It was when they did the
There's Jedi.
balloons. Hey, guy.
So I have a couple topics. Obviously, one of these, the first one we're going to be talking about was one that I was initially going to talk about on Kevin Lambert's education show about metal, but I have so much like I want to do on that particular podcast with him, so I left this for this. And basically, the first discussion is going to be from a guy on YouTube called Tank the Tech, and
Who is he?
well, I think was either a tech roadie or he's affiliated with like touring and stuff like he's like a tour manager, but big time metalhead guy. I don't really watch a lot of his content, but I'm a little bit aware about who he is. Got a pretty big following.
So he's worked with a bunch of different bands and stuff. So he's got the skinny on Who's the Dickheads, who's
well,
nice.
yeah, and he's got pretty big following. He's got 350 or 345 subscribers, 4,000. Like
that's
pretty
impressive.
But he has a particular video here, which you and I have talked about stuff like this in the past, and so some people may or may not be super happy with some of my positions on this, but I don't care. We all know I don't give a shit about other people's.
He don't give a fuck.
But he says, I cannot believe some metalheads are cool with this. And so the premise is basically this. He says, recently Glenn Danzig from the Misfits, and of course his own solo stuff, most known for being the lead vocalist of the Misfits, held a headlining show in Los Angeles, and some of his merch design.
Wait, Danzig is the lead singer right now of the Misfits?
Used to be.
Oh, okay.
Most notably known for that.
No, I know him from Mother.
Yeah. And so some of his merch designs featured a very prominent but obscure Nazi symbol. And for some reason, according to the Tank, there seems to be a lot of people in the metal community that are very quick to brush it off. So we're going to kind of watch this video and see what he has to say, and then I'm going to kind of pause it just to kind of interject my own stuff.
Oh, I'm going to interject because I have so much to say.
Yeah, because it really comes down to, like, how much censorship do you want? Can you separate art from the artist? Like, you know, even Goji and I kind of just talked about this a little bit on the Devil May Cry thing. Like, there comes a time when, like, you don't have to agree with everything that an artist does, but at the same time, if we start going down this road of censorship, when does it stop? Like, it's because then people can just start censoring anything. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, and then it affects a lot more people.
Yeah, and we as a country have done that, and many other countries have done that, where, you know, something simple like definitely during the USSR, I'd like to read a book. And you go to the library and say, hey, I can't find Malcolm X, you know, whatever book. And they're like, I'm sorry, that book is not available. What's your name? And then you're on a list because you want to read the Malcolm X biography. And that's kind of sad because, you know, fiction, fact, historical biographies, you know, it's an interesting thing. Like, where is there the line?
Well, the danger comes like,
should there be a line? I know there are some terrible, terrible books like the Anarchist Cookbook and
well, again, I mean, we'll dive into that, but, like, you know, you have books like Fahrenheit 451 or movies like Equilibrium where they kind of start dabbling in the whole idea that a lot of censorship leads to tyranny and groupthink and hive mind thinking. So, like, again, like you brought up the Anarchist Cookbook, like the book itself probably doesn't need to be made, but then again, like, I can guarantee most people who've ever seen it or read it don't do the things that they have.
No, it's probably just out of like interest and curiosity. Like a lot of the books that I read are out of interest and curiosity. If you would look at my stack of books next to my chair upstairs, it ranges from House of Gucci to One Pot Meals by Chef Ming. Like,
I mean, there just comes a point where you have to, like, anybody who's using those books like Mein Kampf or the Anarchist Cookbook, if they're trying to use that for nefarious purposes, you don't want that. But that's really kind of like, we need to address mental illness and stuff like that rather than worry about censorship of everything, because you can choose not to purchase something, like whether it's a piece of music, art. Books.
I think you run into the slippery slope issue. Like, okay, so this gets banned. What's next?
Yeah, and it's funny because,
you know, The Sound of Music is going to get banned next because we talk about, and it's like the most benign musical, like, but Nazis are in The Sound of Music, so are we going to ban The Sound of Music now because they speak about?
You have people saying they want to edit stuff out and do this, and this. I'm like,
you cannot erase history. You cannot erase history.
Yeah.
The more you try to erase history, it's bad. You need to remember and then look forward and learn from mistakes. Uh-oh.
You definitely spelled my name wrong, but that's okay.
What did you do?
He put ANIBIS. No, I did. All right, well, let's start to see what
Hi,
he has
baby.
to say on this.
Well, this video is going to be a doozy. I don't even know how to start this, to be honest. This is just
What's up,
something
buddy?
that I really want to talk about because apparently in the
roadie.
metal community, we're
Yeah.
just cool with defending Nazi imagery on stuff now. For some reason. Filming live on Twitch. Welcome to everybody in Twitch chat. If you're watching on YouTube later, you can go to twitch.tv/tankthetech, where we talk about music news, do reactions, do roadie story time, stuff like that. Today, I want to talk about something that's been making the rounds in the music industry
Looks like
the
a
last
roadie.
couple of days. And this is kind of mind-blowing to me, the response to this that I've seen online. And before we dive in, listen, this has been a heated topic. There's probably going to be people in the comments on here that are trying to argue this one way or the other. And that, you know what, that's fine. Just let's be civil and look at this how it is. But Glenn Danzig did a show recently.
That's what I know Danzig from. Shirtless singing mother.
And during the show, a lot of pictures started making it online of his merch table. And there were some very wild, noticeable designs. As you can see, the tour poster for Danzig, Kia Forum, Saturday, March 29th. That is 100% the Black Sun on that poster. They even have it on the tour t-shirt. Well, tour t-shirt, it's specific for that day.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know,
an
I'll go
actual
with
tour t-shirt. For anybody that doesn't know why this is a big deal to some people, there's even some people in chat that are saying, what's the Black Sun? And Ando just said, what's the Black Sun? Now, that's a fair question to ask, because I will say before we dive into a lot of this, there are a lot of people that have no idea what this is. And that it's not me saying you're ignorant or naive or anything, because at one point I had no idea what it was either. There's also a lot of people online that don't know what this actually really is. They think it's something else. So I actually want to talk about this today. The Black Sun.
The Black Sun is pretty
also
fucking cool.
Well, let's pause for a minute because I'm very curious. Now, like I said, I've never seen a lot of Tank stuff. Well,
I've never seen the Black Sun. I don't know. So someone like me, I would unknowingly purchase the Black Sun because oh, you guys can't see it. Sorry. It looks fucking cool, right? Like,
yeah, you would know. You would never know any better, but it's 6 radial SS logos. It first appeared in Nazi Germany as a design element in a castle at I can't pronounce that. Jesus Christ. Remodeled and expanded by the head of SS Heinrich Himmler, which he intended to be the center for the SS. The symbol appeared nowhere else in Nazi Germany. So the Black Sun had some contemporary association with the occult, but it really kind of died out. Like they went with the swastika instead of the Black Sun, is what I'm reading. The swastika is actually not representative of racism, even though Nazis adopted it.
Yeah,
Nazis
took it and turned it into something hateful.
Right.
But the Black Sun, honestly, it's not I don't know it, and I think I'm pretty much a history
it's gotten
buff.
so bad now that like if I'm on X and I'm having disagreements with people because the year I graduated was 88, and so like my handle obviously is DJ Newest 88. So whenever I get in disagreements with people about politics, so they see the 88 and they automatically like, oh, you're a racist.
Well, I'm 88 as well. You know why I'm 88?
Philadelphia.
My favorite
player,
hockey player, Eric Lindros.
But you're a racist.
But I'm a racist.
No one knows everything. They all assume the worst.
All of my handles.
And just like, I can't tell you whether or not Danzig is a racist. Like to me, everything I've heard about Danzig in terms of his persona, how he acts with people, he's kind of a dick. Like
I've heard he's kind of a dick too.
Yeah. So whether or not he's actually into white nationalism or whatever, I can't tell you. I don't know enough to worry. I don't even listen to Danzig that often to care.
But see, like flip this all around. Like I was ignorant to the Black Sun. How many people and I feel I'm tuned in. I know a lot about history and I pay attention. And apparently the Black Sun was something that was kind of like not as
Well, here's
prevalent.
the other thing. Like, do we know that Danzig even intentionally tried to put the black sun?
Rewind it again, because I want to see what his t-shirt looked like real quick. So, all right, I'm looking at the black sun.
I mean, there are similarities, but like people make designs all the time. So again, like I can't.
Who's to say he didn't say I want something, because that looks like a kung fu, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So who's to say he didn't put in like AI generate? I want kung fu with a sun behind me and lightning bolts.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything, but it could be what he wants it to be. Like it could be what Tank's talking about. But again,
I'm not giving him.
There
any
are
kind
things
of
such as coincidences that, like, oh well, we didn't intentionally do this; it just kind of came out that way.
That kind of looks like an AI generated kung fu thing. That's why I was saying. Now, granted, I am usually very tuned into lots of things. I really am. So for me to not understand that the black sun was a blip in the whole Nazi verse, I feel bad. But apparently in the early 2000s, it got like reinvigorated as a neo-Nazi and white nationalist.
Well, dude, they've been like, we've seen it with Trump and everything else, where the OK, he's doing this, and it was like, it's racist. I mean, it just gets kind of ridiculous after a point. Like, it's like, dude, let's just stop, please, just stop.
The OK thing came from, oh, Christ, I can't think of the name of the college, where it was like a fraternity. Back in the day.
She's doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. So the OK, guys, you see this? It came from I have to make my brain rewire for a minute, but it was a fraternity back in the day. And if you were from this fraternity, they would say you're OK. And that was kind of like the fraternity thing, where they would give like the little OK symbol. I find that interesting, how they take something from a college from back in the 1800s and turn it into something that's racist as well, because it literally
just never stopped.
It's interesting.
Anyway. An alternative to the Nazi swastika that was made and used by the SS. According to the Anti-Defamation League, the alternate names for this are the sun wheel or black sun. And I think,
now look at that though. Look at the sun here. So it is a black sun, but it also has the swastika dead center of it. Mm-hmm. So I don't see that on the one that's on his shirt. So I mean, obviously the black sun could be various, right? Like, what was that picture you had initially?
I had this one up. This one looks almost Viking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like,
so like this,
I feel like it could.
Yeah.
I'm not making excuses for Glenn Danzig. What I'm saying is his shirt looks like AI generated shit.
I don't know.
Sun wheel, let's be honest, is a little misleading, because throughout the history of this world, there have been tons and tons of cultures and peoples that have had symbols of the sun and have made sun wheels. So to specifically just say, I guess you could say it is a sun wheel, but specifically this black sun is what we're talking about. The Sonnenrad, or sun wheel, is one of a number of ancient European symbols appropriated by the Nazis in their attempt to invent an idealized Aryan Norse heritage. The Sonnenrad appears in the traditional symbology of many countries and cultures, including Old Norse and Celtic cultures. It has countless variations. The swastika and similar rounded variants are actually Sonnenrad forms, as are certain versions of the Celtic cross. In Nazi Germany, the Nazi Party, the SA, and the SS all used Sonnenrad symbology, pronounce that S as a Z there, symbology at times, which has led neo-Nazis and other modern white supremacists to adopt such images. One Sonnenrad version in particular is popular among white supremacists: two concentric circles with crooked rays emanating from the inner circle to the outer circle. Often white supremacists will put another hate symbol, such as a swastika, in the center of the inner circle. Because Sonnenrad imagery is used by many cultures around the world, one should not assume that most Sonnenrad-like images necessarily denote racism or white supremacy.
Hold on.
There we go. He just kind of like said it.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically jumping to that is a bad look for Tank, because you cannot just go and assume that such and such is being racist if they're taking a symbol that's not always tied to racism. So
this is very similar. And you know who this
now
is?
the only thing
from?
I was, what's that? That's still couldn't quell, right? Or something similar.
Godsmack.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. So, like, unless we have something from Danzig where he's, behaving in a manner that would be considered National Socialist or Nazi, like, unless that's a tie-in with that, with the symbolism that he's got on the shirt, it's kind of disingenuous to jump into that conclusion automatically.
Rather, they should be analyzed carefully in the context which they appear. Now, I will say that last point that they said is very important, because as we've already figured out, there are a lot of cultures in the world that have used sun wheels for their images and stuff like that. Like, I think I have a pennant somewhere over here. Technically, that would be considered a sun wheel design, but we're not talking about just sun wheels. Like, the Anti-Defamation League says you shouldn't assume that a sun wheel by itself is a racist symbol, which is true, because there's a lot of different ones. We're talking about one specific one in this instance, the black sun, which is being used by Danzig on his merchandise. That one, that specific one.
Yeah, but you do not see the swastika in it. Now, granted, the dude's head's in the way. So
that's why I said, I feel like whoever designed this, I mean, it could be Danzig himself.
What's up, Alvin?
Hey, Alvin. I almost feel like whoever designed this said, take Glenn Danzig and make him look like he is in Kung Fu, and put a really
funny thing is,
big codpiece on him and some.
Danzig has been so irrelevant for so long that, like, the last thing I remember is like in the mid 2000s when that dude from that band like popped him in the fucking jaw and knocked his ass out. Like, that was the last fucking thing I even remember from Danzig. So it's like, for even Tank to kind of draw this into a bigger deal is kind of a weird flex. Now, I'm also going to say this, and I haven't got all the way through this video because I don't know if Tank's can even touch on it or if he's touched on it in the past. But does Tank have the same energy when it comes to Lemmy from Motorhead? Because Lemmy is a huge collector of memorabilia from Nazi era stuff.
He has got an entire wall of Nazi knives.
Now, granted, Lemmy was just interested in the historical aspects of all that. So I'm not claiming Lemmy being a Nazi, but judging by what Tank is implying here is like,
you should not even,
you should not have any of that, because that will tell people that you're not feeling empathy or caring about their feelings about the stuff that you have. Let's talk about another one that I love to talk about with you, because we do this all the time, which goes back to what Tank's saying about imagery and metal music and people using these different symbols and stuff. Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft. Many bands.
We know what a piece of shit Lovecraft is.
Lovecraft's, I mean, a huge racist asshole. So why do we not have the same energy here with bands that use Lovecraft's art?
I mean, he's not even just racist, he's horrible to his wife. I mean, he's just a horrible human being.
Right.
And everybody is like, oh, I love the Lovecraft imagery, I love the Lovecraft aesthetic. And I'm like, none of his stories were even that good. Sorry to the group, but none of his shit was even that good. And then people just like really feed off of the whole Lovecraft aesthetic. And then like a couple of years ago, did a real deep dive into Lovecraft, and then we watched a documentary, and I'm like, this dude is a piece of shit and he's a psychopath. So like, is that okay? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can literally go through any kind of metal artwork or lyrical content, and a lot of stuff is inspired by Lovecraft. And so, like, why aren't we just losing our shit over that? Like, it kind of reminds me of about a few years ago when people were upset at brutal death metal bands singing about chainsawing women up, and even though it's all horror inspired.
Yeah, I don't think
you had some of these bands coming out saying, well, we don't have to really do that anymore. We should be better than that. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now?
Yeah,
like,
I don't think they're actually going to.
Right, exactly. again, I don't know if Danzig is actually a racist or a Nazi, but
or maybe
it's a huge stretch to sit here and
he's
say,
trolling us all because he knows we're all going to talk about it, and he's been irrelevant for a while, so he needs a Black Sun t-shirt to get himself back on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they say, you know, any exposure is good, even if it's negative. So like,
yeah,
you've got some guy here who you said he had like what, 350,000 subscribers.
Who?
This tech dude.
Oh yeah, he's like 340.
Yeah. So we've got a guy who has a good audience who's now speaking about Danzig, who, in my opinion, has not been relevant since the 90s, and now he's doing whatever he's doing.
You're basically giving him free publicity. I mean,
exactly
that's what you're doing at this point.
So now Danzig is like,
I mean, look, I don't care. I mean, I don't mind that Tank wants to talk about it. It's a discussion that could be had, but I do have some issues where people, we tend to idolize people that shouldn't be idolized. So whether it's athletes, musicians, actors, whatever, we tend to put them on these pedestals and think that, oh, if they have flaws or if they are not very good people, that, you know, somehow all of a sudden we just need to like ban their works out of there. Like, you can choose not to support them, or by buying their merch or watching their movies, whatever.
Yeah, let your money speak.
I mean, Dagon from Inquisition, his music is brilliant, but from everything I know about him, he's not a very good dude. So I can separate the artist from the art.
Varg.
Yeah, Varg's a clear one. Now, I don't care about Varg because I'm not a big Burzum fan anyway.
But
he's like a huge Nazi guy. So like,
and
people still support him. So
yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy.
I think his YouTube channel actually got taken down, but his YouTube channel really showed the level of mental illness that he was dealing with, because after he got out of jail, he has a wife and kids, and they're living off, when I say off the grid, like that's what his whole YouTube channel was about. Like, we have solar panels.
I wouldn't be surprised if even there are people that still like want to do him harm, like maybe not so much because of his murder, the murder he committed, but just they don't like him, Nazis. And it's really a bigger thing now where people don't really like Nazis, and that's fine because that makes sense. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just very concerned about the idea of putting censorship on bands. Like, I don't have to go to see Danzig or buy those shirts. So
exactly, and you don't have to listen to Burzum, and you don't have to. Let's think of any kind of.
You just have to be careful going down these roads, because eventually they're going to come take away stuff that you do care about, and that you may say to yourself, well, this isn't very bad. Why are they trying to silence this or censor this? Well, the reason is because you've opened that door. You
know, now we're going to take away. I'm trying to think of one. Dragon Force.
The best thing you can ever do.
We're talking about magic, we're taking away Ronnie James Dio because we're talking about magic and unicorns, and you can't take away Ronnie James Dio.
Horns, yeah. It's like
he's the one who invented this. Like, so I really think but I also think it's a lot of people who don't have a lot of life. So they have too much time on their hands, like Stick says, and they post this. Danzig's a Nazi, apparently.
Really, when it comes to like Reddit and fucking X, like, you're gonna get your fair share of like trolls and, you know, the people that get triggered so heavily into this stuff. Like, it's like, I can't be bothered. Like, to me, when it comes to bands that deal with like white socialism, or, you know, I feel like they're just a little bit beyond, like, they might be horrible people, but if their music sucks too, I just don't give them any time of day. Like, I don't care.
But it becomes that dividing line, and I'm gonna put the big dividing line out there, which is MJ, and nobody wants to talk about what possibly could have happened.
I mean, Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about it. But if you are a true person who can say, I am dividing my love of the art versus the artist, can I get away from these allegations because they're huge allegations. Like,
well,
they're
I don't have a
bad.
problem with people just saying to themselves, like, you know, I don't want to endorse this. So you can have your opinion about Danzig and this shirt and everything, like Tank is doing here, but to kind of like come down on metalheads across this whole fandom
Is that what he's saying? He's saying we're all like
well,
Nazis?
he just says, I cannot believe some metalheads are cool with this. Like, to me, I'm cool with whatever thing you want to do, but like, I don't have to agree with it. Like,
So
there are bands.
So is he implying that, for example, we might listen to some Burzum, or we might listen to some
I can
Burning
tell you
Down?
right now, I've heard songs. I've even liked songs from Burzum, but it's like a very small minority. And I can't even tell you the last time you listened to one.
But besides that, like, we listen to things that are horrible.
Yeah.
We listen to, you know, Chainsaw Massacre. Like,
well, let's think about Tim LaBasis from Austrian Death Machine. That guy's not a very good dude, but that project,
but
is
he's
hilarious.
hysterical.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, are you saying because I appreciate the music and the musicality and what you've put out for me, I myself am a Nazi, or I am going to be a serial killer, or I am going to be like doing horrible things just because I enjoy music? I mean, I like
Well, it's the same.
I like random fucking music sometimes. Like, I like R. Kelly. I like Bump and Grind. Am I going to go rape somebody because I like R. Kelly? I like that song. I grew up with it. I don't see nothing wrong with a little Bump and Grind either, R. Kelly. But am I going to go out and start raping people just because I enjoy the R&B?
People that like complain about, these things like this are just, they're the same ones that will defend like Satanism and paganism and all this, or vice versa, where Christianity has now infiltrated rock and metal for years. It's all open. Everybody can do what they want to do. You can choose as a consumer of what you want to consume.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Just because I listened to R. Kelly and he raped and a bunch of women. But that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I just because I listen to R. Kelly does not make me want to support a rapist or be a rapist. I was a teenager and I enjoyed the sweet R&B.
I just see it like this. I want to get back into the video.
Okay.
The way I want to see it is like, metalheads in general got to kind of put your big boy pants on and learn to just deal with it. People don't see the world the same way you do. And while metal's always been about rebellion, it's also about individuality. And that's the big thing for me, because I can like Christian heavy metal and rock, and I can
like Christian heavy metal and rock.
I do like Satanism metal and rock. I don't listen much to the stuff that's in the black metal and white supremacist stuff and National Socialism, but I have listened to bands in that genre. So if that makes me a bad guy because I do like some songs from these bands that are very controversial, then so be it. But the reality is, like, I don't go around practicing Nazism or any of that shit. Like, I don't care about it. But if you're going to blast Danzig, I better fucking see your video blasting Lemmy, because he did a lot of collecting of stuff like that. And if you're going to try to walk the eggshells with Lemmy, then you're kind of being hypocritical.
Just because Lemmy is God does not mean he did not. He was a good World War II historian.
Yes.
He seriously was. He collected so much from Nazis and allies. He had an entire wall of World War II memorabilia. So
yeah, no. So I mean, look, again, if you can point to where Glenn is like actually a Nazi and he's practicing like hating on people, then great. Like, I can sit there and say, okay, you're right, this guy is a dick. But still, I would still say that Glenn can do whatever the fuck he wants. If people want to purchase that shit and support that shit, that's their own prerogative. I don't care about that.
Bobby Brown, another one. It's his prerogative.
Oh my God, you're not really bringing that.
That is the one thing we're talking about in this conversation. Not ones that look like it, not other owned vast factories and their three retainers. The symbol of the Black Sun unites the three most important
I read this article, buddy.
New. Maybe it is. I don't know. But the sad part about the flip side of this is that some people just don't care. We've seen it a ton lately. Look at Kanye West recently that released a t-shirt that was made out of a swastika.
Who cares? Dude, seriously, I'm telling you now, who cares? Because this is stupid. Kanye's an idiot. Like, why? Like, I'm not buying this shit. So why the fuck would you even care?
I'm like, I'm looking at it. I was like, yeah, it's a swastika-ish. This one down here is bad with the star.
Yeah,
okay, I mean, that one's bad. That one's bad.
So I'm not buying this shit. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not either. I'm not purchasing any of that merchandise.
Dude, you're getting triggered so easily by shit that's under your own control. Fuck that.
Oh my God.
Stop. Just stop being a pussy. I'm sorry. It's fucking ridiculous.
Design. I think a lot of us were like, yeah, that's
Kanye
super
West
fuck up. But there were a lot of other people that were like, he's Kanye being Kanye. Like, whatever. He's, Let's look at Phil Anselmo, where he went on stage, literally did a Sig Heil, and screamed white power at the crowd.
And he got butchered for that. Let's not forget, dude. People were running him through fucking coals over this. So it's not like he didn't face any backlash. And that's everybody's right to do. It's Phil's right to do it if he's a dumbass. I mean, dude, look, I saw Pantera during Cowboys from Hell way back in the day. I saw them throughout the years. The last time that I saw them, I think it was on Ozfest around 2099, something there. He was so fucking drunk that the audience was singing the lyrics for him. That was the last time I sat and watched Pantera because it was such a disappointing show. So Phil, to me, isn't so much an asshole because he's doing this. He's just an asshole because he just doesn't sing well anymore. Now, obviously, he might have cleaned up his act, but I was so pissed at that event that even Rex and everybody else in the band were pissed off at him. So that's my problem with him. But, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. If people want to flip him off, throw shit at him, go ahead. I don't care. But the reality is like everyone can express themselves however way they want to fucking do it. Just quit being soft about it, man. Like, just don't go to the shows. Hit him in the wallet, man. Hit him in the wallet.
That's exactly right. I think Phil's drunk.
He's probably drunk and high as fuck.
Look at him.
People defended him and said, nah, he was really drunk, whatever. Dude, I've been drunk many times in my life and I've never
drunk. No, you can tell he's drunk anyway.
I guess my problem with this whole issue isn't necessarily the fact that Glenn approved this merch design or that the design is on there. I think my problem with this whole issue is the reaction of the metal community. I'm kind of embarrassed at the reaction of the metal community with stuff like this, to be honest, because I've seen so many posts online of people just going out of their way to defend this. Like I said, we went from the community.
That stupid t-shirt.
It wouldn't matter because people unfortunately, Tank wants to be outraged for the sake of being outraged.
Oh, okay. He's one of those.
I don't know, but that's kind of the impression I'm getting because the way that he's carrying on here is telling me that this is the problem with people like this, in my opinion. They want to tell you how you should be rather than everyone just having their own viewpoints, their own life's experiences. This is why the culture war exists, because people on the left would rather tell you how you're supposed to be, and then people on the right tell you how it's supposed to be. And instead of people in the middle like us, we're like, fuck both you motherfuckers. We're going to do what we want to do. And if I don't want to support Glenn Danzig for having poorly driven shirts, then I'm going to do that. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to worry about it. But I'm not going to cry sweet tears because I see that fucking shit. Like, I forget the band that it is, but Jason Griffith really likes them.
Let me text Jason real fast.
And I forget the band, but they had some of the similar imagery about the Nazi stuff. Now, granted, they're not really Nazis, but they do use some of the imagery. Now, I'm not gonna blast Jason because he likes his band. And he's a leftist. He's a fucking leftist.
He's very left. But what I'm saying though is a lot of Nazi imagery comes from like history before Nazi imagery. Right. So,
and that's a sad thing because people that really like the swastika, like the original meaning, they can't take it back because society has made it the Nazi thing forever. Like they can't reclaim it. It's done. They can't do anything with it. I will be, putting this link for this video in my description when I'm done for people that want to watch it in full. But I'm not here to hate on Tank, but I think this is just a really whiny fucking video when you are the person that's in control of the content that you consume.
Yeah, I honestly think like Tank looks like a really cool guy, and I would think he would understand. He looks young though too, doesn't he?
He's probably younger than me. Obviously,
Younger than
but
me, and I sometimes think at my age and at your age, you forget sometimes that younger people they don't realize that a lot of stuff. I mean, think about back in the 80s and 90s, all the anarchist stuff that would come out and all the and we really weren't going to blow up our schools and go fight cops, but that was a big thing, especially in punk music, the whole anarchy thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think that
a lot of that, I mean, of course, some people are like, they use that punk, Nazi punks fuck off type stuff is like, what happened to that? Well, it's still there, but the reality is that we've also learned to appreciate or at least accept that people have different experiences in life. We have different viewpoints of how we view the world. Like if you would have told me 25 years ago that there would be metal fans that are Christian, I would have said that's surprising. Like, because a lot of metal is pushed against Christian ideology. So like even it's funny thing is even when Chuck Schuldiner passed away and he already became a Christian towards the end of his life, how many people came out of the fucking woodwork to just
like shit on his grave,
shit on him, and just like totally what a fake ass motherfucker. And I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, really? Are you really gonna do that? This is, I'm sorry to say, this would be the guys like Tank that would do this. Like, this is the kind of shit that they pull because they want you to think only the way they think. And
for people who don't know, Chuck had brain cancer, and
well, they knew it, but then
but towards the end
when
of his
he grew
life,
up and viewed life differently. Now, I have never been in the Christianity. I grew up in a Christian home, Christian schools, but I've never seen the value in the religion itself. In fact, I'm very anti-Christian, but I also am not a Satanist. I don't get into that shit either. I'm not really an atheist per se. Like I believe that there may be something out there, but I don't know.
You're like me.
Yeah.
Agnostic forever.
Yeah. So like, and I don't, the thing is like, but I don't have a problem if people want to have faith of no matter what religion they're part of. That's their business. Like, but if you're going to try to impose this shit on me, then I'm just going to give you two big fingers and say, fuck off. And that's how I kind of feel about this. It's like trying to like blast metal fans because they're not coming out in force and, trashing or beating the shit out of Glenn Danzig.
And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to.
Well, I don't think he's endorsing violence, but the reality is like the way that he seems so triggered by the idea that no one's, a lot of people unfortunately don't care about stupid shit like this. They don't because
he's triggered by the shirt that I think AI
Glenn
created.
Is not even relevant at this point.
I seriously, buddy, Tank, I seriously think AI created this shirt. And you're getting your butt hurt a little too much about it.
Of Nazi punks fuck off to just not caring about this stuff anymore. And it's crazy. And I know I'm being kind of broad in saying that because there's a lot of people that do care about this, but there's a lot of people in the metal community that also don't. On Loudwire's comment section, I even just posted a kind of
again, if you're going to care about Nazis, then you better care about Satanism. You better care about Christianity. You better care about like we talked about.
You better care about the churches being burned down.
You better care about, like we talked about with the brutal death metal bands, like the lyrical content is very, in some ways, sexist, if you want to put it that way. But
sexist, abusive.
Yeah. So, like, how far do we want to go down this rabbit hole?
I want to go and analyze every one of the album covers that he has back there so I can be like, that's sexist, that's abusive. Like, I almost
back to the album covers that have Chuchulu on it. It's like Lovecraft. So, like, how far the rabbit hole do we want to go? How much do we want to censor what artists can put out there? Like, at what point do we just say, you know what? It's just not worth getting upset about this shit because I don't even know what his intent is in terms of Glenn Danzig. I don't know what the intent is there.
Well, he's worried because metalheads are not angry that
Yeah, but you're trying to drum up outrage out of nowhere. Like, did Tank even bother to investigate this? Did he try to go research and figure out why Glenn has this?
Because Tank wants to get the clickies. He's just trying to get a bunch of people all up in arms and just get the content and get the clicks and the comments. He's not talking to Glenn Danzig. He's not asking anybody in Glenn Danzig's camp saying, where did this design come from? Where did you get inspired by this? And I can answer for Glenn right now. It is an AI generated piece of crap because it looks like an AI generated piece of crap. And
all right, well, let's finish this up because I do have another story to get to, but
something I noticed, and I said, so let me get this straight. The majority of the metal community was shitting on Alex Terrible for having a covered up black sun tattoo, which he did have. Let's not forget about that. Like, Alex Terrible from Slaughter to Prevail did have a black sun tattooed on him at one point. We've talked about that. He has since had it covered up, and he has even admitted in interviews that he got it when he was young, naive, a little bit ignorant, and didn't know the real meaning behind it, and might have been hanging out with the wrong people. We were all dumb and influenced by other people, man, and people can change. So in that situation, good on him. He got it covered up. Like, it's over. Like, cool. But the entire metal community at one point was shitting on him for that, and everybody was calling him a white supremacist. But everybody in this situation is just like, oh, chill out, it's not that deep, it's not a big deal, when Danzig has it on merch. And I went on to say, I guess I'm not surprised considering everyone gave Phil.
No one gave Phil a pass. Like, what fucking planet is Tank on? He clearly was not paying attention because I was. Phil was getting crucified for that salute. Crucified. I don't know where he's coming off with this. Like, no one was saying anything about it. That's bullshit.
Phil a pass for doing salutes and screaming white power on stage, but everybody's so selective about what they want to be mad about or give passes to. And in my opinion, there's probably people watching.
And I'll be honest, like, that dude from Slaughter to Prevail, I don't care if he would have covered up his tattoo or not, because I don't even, like, up until this, wouldn't even, I wouldn't know what the black sun was. Like, I did not know either, because there are so many tribal suns out there. And I'll be honest, like, most people probably don't know what that means, except for now.
Now I know, because I listened to Tank.
Yes,
and
Tank is now everything is racist.
Tank educated me on the sun bullshit. But the problem is, like you said, and I showed you the Godsmack sun. I showed you another sun that are all very derivative of the black sun. I think people look at that t-shirt, as I said, and they're like, oh, cool.
It's so funny how, like, some of the people in modern day want to erase the past. Like, so we see monuments getting taken down, we see curriculums change. Yet, for whatever reason, when it comes to a guy having a tattoo, we've got to make sure we point this out, or a shirt. So we have to make sure we tell people this is racism. It's like, if nobody really knew about it, if you took 1,000 people and they saw that shirt, maybe 100 would know it, maybe at best, if that. And so then, like, what do we say? Like, we just want to go in, we'll erase parts of history.
Shirt bad.
But then we'll come back and say, no, well, we got to teach you this history because we got to make sure you know what racism is. I'm just like, come on, let's stop being dumb.
But as I said, when I was doing my quick few-minute research, I did not know much about the black sun. I researched it. It was something that never took off, because the swastika is what took off, right? So the black sun had, like, a small window of its, like, Nazi heyday, and it was inspired by tribal suns and, like, Indian.
The thing is, imagery, art,
it is all still derivative.
Some of it's just for edgy bands that are trying to shock the world. I mean, we get it all the time. And Danzig has never been shy about controversy. He's always been involved in some way. So it's like, again, maybe you're right. Maybe this is like Glenn's like big troll moment where he's like, I'm going to put this out there, get some people interested in our stuff again. Like,
that's one thing I think, or I think he totally was like,
either that or he's just oblivious. What if Glenn doesn't know anything about the black sun? Like, You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know Glenn.
This
Sorry.
video right now that are
Well,
like,
wait,
well,
no, Glenn.
you're choosing what you want to get mad about. And yeah, you're right. But I actually think being upset about Nazi imagery used in the metal community and people glossing over it is something to talk about and be upset about. Some of the other comments say just because
No, you can talk about it, but being upset about it is kind of dumb. It just is.
Nazis use symbols doesn't mean they created them. People need to stop fucking complaining. I thought maybe people were overreacting at an iron cross, but no, it's the black sun. Yeah, that's a point to bring up too, because Danzig is used like the iron cross on a lot of stuff, which is mostly associated with, you know, Nazi Germany. But that iron cross has been used.
Is that Ghost behind his head? Because everything Ghost does is make fun of the Catholic Church. So
yeah, but that's okay because, you know,
is that okay?
It's okay.
Is that, I mean, I don't know because his head is obscuring that, but I thought I saw Papa. And if he is talking about this and he's okay with this, then you have Ghost on your wall of love. And you're telling me that we are Nazis for being okay with this shirt, but you've got Papa back there who is purposely, and I'm not saying this, I don't want to say they're making fun of the Catholic Church, but they're making people aware of the duplicity of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to be upset about Nazi symbolism and stuff like that, then go be mad at Lemmy. I want to see a video strictly about Lemmy.
Look, there's a dude over there. I don't know what that is, but there's a guy carrying the cross. That could be like you're blasphemous. You've got like a Jesus thing over there going on.
Right.
What else is going on behind you, sir? Hold on. I got to figure it out. So your argument does not hold water because every single band or every single, I mean,
there's just various
it's a story, right? It's a story.
And again, without going into detail about why Glenn has that, because it's not even a full sun, it's like half.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And so like you're losing your shit over something that we don't even have the full story
some
about.
Jesus-y thing going back here with the cross, and I don't even know what it is. And then you've got ghosts behind your little head, and most people think that they're blasphemous. So
anyway. I'll leave the link for people that want to watch this in full, and you know, you can make your own decisions about how you feel about it. But the reality is like, I don't want shit to go down the rabbit hole to the point that we have everything censored and artists can't express themselves the way they want to, no matter if it's in art, music, TV, or whatever.
Amen, sister friend.
If you're the consumer, you're the one that chooses whether or not you can support it or look past some of it or whatever.
What did you
just
say?
simply research
Vote with your dollars.
Yeah, vote with your dollars. All right, let's pull this. And
I hate him now.
No, I'm sure he's a good dude, but the reality is that
if you're going to bitch about Nazisms and you're going to be that triggered again,
I just want to see the same energy with some of these other more famous people like Lemmy. Like, I want to see that energy. Like, you're upset about Nazi symbolism. Well, Lemmy's a perfect example of a guy you should be ripping to shreds. You know, even if he's dead, like, just go and rip him to shreds. I want to see that video.
And the thing is, too, is it was Lemmy was just interested in general in his personal life in World War II memorabilia. Yeah. It wasn't like he sang about World War II, right. You know?
Yeah, he likes the collecting it and stuff and learning about it and everything else. But, like, there's even bands that were always accused of being Nazis and stuff because they were singing about historical facts around racism. And so like Argylsant is one of those bands that, like, back in the day, that's sort of how they built their name, and they were very controversial because they were singing about stuff, and in their lyrics they'd even say the N-word occasionally, but it was always in a story form of what was happening during that particular song, like what the story was about that they were telling.
Kind of like when you're reading Mark Twain and he's talking about and Joe.
Yeah.
You know, like, I understand that there are times when you're reading something, especially historical, that you get something in there that is not okay.
Well, on to our next topic, which
All
is
right.
about Asmongold and OTK and some of the fallout that's happened over the last year or two. There's an article that's been put out by a gentleman named Nathan Grayson, and he's a contributor for a webzine called Kotaku, which is kind of under fire with the gamer industry because of Alyssa Malcante, who was once tied to that. She used to work for them. Was a big deal because she was getting in the middle of Gamergate 2.
Oh, Gamergate 2.
Now, the interesting thing about Grayson is that he was involved in Gamergate 1 going back to 2014. And the reason for that was he was having journalistic impropriety when he was getting involved with one of the women that were at the center of the Gamergate thing, which is Zoe Quinn. Nathan Grayson, he's a journalist, but he was sleeping with this girl that was at the center of this whole Gamergate thing. Now, I wasn't around for when Gamergate took off, so I don't have like a lot of details, but I do know that it was a big deal. Went all the way up into the government and Congress, where they basically shouted at us and said, "No, this is ridiculous." Gamergate 2 started out differently, where somebody from Sweet Baby Inc. started harassing a gamer on his Discord, saying because they were listing their games that they were working on because of the DEI woke stuff that was involved. That that's how it all kicked off. But anyway,
so how many years ago was this?
For what?
Gamergate 2.
Gamergate 2 started about a year or two ago.
Okay.
But Grayson, of course, has ties way back to the first one. But he wrote an article to which he says how OTK lost its way, which he's going to go through. He says, OTK was meant to be an org for and by some of the world's biggest streamers, but thanks to egos, whims, and controversies, it's proven to be anything but a sure bet. Now, I think that despite the fact that Grayson is kind of like biased against OTK because he does, he is all about the DEI and stuff like that. So I have to kind of take some of this with a grain of salt with how he's going to apply this. But
one true king.
Yes. But there will be some fact in there because some of the players involved, like Asmongold, Miskiff, and them, do have controversies that would be a bad look for any company that they'd be a part of. So OTK was founded in 2020. It was far from the first streaming conglomerate production company lifestyle brand to plant its flag. I'm going to kind of sweep over some of this, but basically it was started by Zach Asmongold Hoyt, Matthew Miskiff Renato, and Tim Esfanari, and Rich Campbell, which Rich is the one we talked about the one time. He's the one who got into the big trouble with rape allegations and stepped away way back when. So flash forward.
So how was it founded in 2020 and all this shit happened in less than 5 years?
Because egos and people can't behave themselves like it. And I'm going to explain some of this because some of this stuff is happening without these big names even attached to them, where some of these new up and coming streamers are doing some of the dumbest fucking shit, getting themselves in trouble because they're trying to. Now that Asmon's out, Tectone is out, Miskiff is basically out, but he's still there. But the reality is the new ones that are part of this now are trying to keep OTK afloat, basically with their whatever popularity they have. But the problem is their antics are becoming tiresome and stupid. And they don't have quite the clout that Tectone and Asmon has. So
Asmon has a insane following, like insane following.
Yep. And so flash forward 5 years though, and OTK is facing an uncertain future. Streamers were its greatest asset, but they've also proven to be the biggest stumbling block. Now, some of the people that worked with OTK or ex-employees and stuff, and they say bad things about some of these players, but that usually happens when you have ex-employees of any company. So basically, to start things off with, Asmon his departure was probably the biggest flex on OTK because
why did he leave?
well, he made some comments about the Palestine-Israel conflict, and he was generalizing too much. The way he worded it was really fucking stupid. So basically, alluding to that everyone in Palestine deserved genocide. So obviously, he got a lot of backlash, a lot of blowback. He took 2 weeks off. He got banned from Twitch for that. And he came back and he said he admitted that he fucked up. And
then he got 1 million more followers.
Well, that's the thing. And so he stepped away from OTK. He's really no longer part of it. Now, he might have some shares into the stock or whatever, but he's no longer controlling or leading that.
Because he was one of the OGs.
Yes.
He founded it.
But as at the time that happened, he had maybe 2.9 million subscribers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, fast forward to now, he has 3.54 million. So,
should we just talk about something awful and
no, but that's the thing. Asmon is actually pretty balanced in how he approaches things.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I just think that his information got misconstrued, and
that's the thing. If you're not clear about what you're saying, it's automatically boom. So that's why shit happens like that. It doesn't take long for people to latch onto stuff out of context, even with videos. Let's see, Jedi. Yes, it is. It is very much so. So yeah, he steps away, and now it leaves Tectone and Miska basically as your two main guys that are kind of running. Esfon, he's really one of the OGs in there too, but he's not really a big name per se. He doesn't really stand out as much as the other two guys do. So, but all of a sudden, Tectone has some stuff at home where supposedly he's abusing his wife or something.
Shut up.
It's allegation. This doesn't mean it's true.
No, but that came out of nowhere.
We're right. Well, because she's the one that brought forward. So, but again, I don't know.
I don't know him or her, and that's why I'm saying it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so, but again, it's one of those things that's once that shit happens, because a lot of times you
can't put the toothpaste back into the tube.
These streamers are kind of dumb. They end up getting hooked up with these other streamer girls, and they're all fucking egos, and some of them are crazy as fuck. I mean, we talked about XQC and his former chick that went off the rails and almost tried to ruin his life. It's just a lot of crazy shit. So
you have to realize we women are insane, and we can ruin your lives very easily. Very easily. The things that we find out and what we can do.
But anyway, so he steps down. And so now you have another big dude from OTK that's now done and gone. They're just out of the situation. Miskif's always had weird things that happen in terms of controversy, but he's been still attached to, because he had similar things where supposedly he defended one of her friends who supposedly raped somebody. So that was something that people latched onto and still give him some grace for. But his most recent transgression was that he went to Japan and
had tentacle sex with somebody.
No, that'd probably be more entertaining. But because cherry blossoms are very revered in Japan. So he decided he was going to do some pull-ups on this tree.
He broke the tree?
I don't think he broke it, but he was just doing some pull-ups. Now, he's goofing off, and most people would look at that as not a big deal.
You don't understand Japan.
That's why people were upset. So some people were defending him. Other people are like, are you fucking mad? That's a very revered tree in fucking Japan. So, and this tells you a bigger story about when you go into these other countries, don't go there to be a jackass. I'm just saying, don't be a jackass. Respect the cultures over there. Don't fucking act like a fool. Unfortunately, Miskif in that situation is almost acting like Johnny Somali. Maybe not to the degree that Johnny is, but it's almost like if you don't respect the culture, then don't do it. And just go be normal. Recently, I told you some time ago, a couple of new girls had joined OTK, Imaru and Extra Emily. Now, Imaru pretty much does her own thing. She's cosplayer, gamer, and kind of just goes around and does whatever she wants. but she doesn't really get into a lot of like controversy. However, Extra Emily, who's generally a very bubbly, high energy chick.
What happened?
Well, first thing she did is she's really been hitting the news a lot lately.
What?
She was streaming while she was driving, decided to turn the phone around, and then she ran some red lights saying that she does it all the time because the lights are too long. So Twitch bans her for a day, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, why bother? If you're not going to ban her for any kind of serious, because it does against the TOS to do shit like that. It's dangerous.
Don't stream and drive.
Right. So she gets banned for a day, and of course she gets some hate, and she's one of those people that when she fucks up, she starts crying a lot.
I do hate her. I forgot I hate her.
Well, no, I don't think you've seen her. You've seen other like content creators that cry while reaction stuff, but she's not like that. But Emily will start pulling the tears when she's been called out for stupid ass shit. So, and I can't remember right off the top of my head the recent thing she did, but again, it's just more dumb shit that she does. And so it's almost like to the point now, like because Asthma and Tectone isn't there, they're trying so hard to get more people interested in their content, but it's like you're just not as interesting as these guys were. And maybe your time in OTKs itself might be just done. Like, you know, and I think maybe Grayson is kind of getting to that, but we're going to kind of get into this a little bit with this article. I'm just going to kind of read about some of it. Let's see. Aftermath, which is what Grayson works for, reached out to OTK multiple times in weeks before this report's publishing. The company declined to comment on most of what follows. An OTK spokesperson told Aftermath, OTK's vision and business model remains the same as it has for the past several years. To be the best influencer-led gaming brand in digital. We continue pursuing this endeavor each and every day. Well, they got
good for you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Streams and videos initially with OTK.
Did you change the picture?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't do it on this page. My bad. Yeah. Oops. So, yeah. So, the power of friendship. So, basically, OTK's earliest days were characterized by Papa's sense of fun. And it's true. These guys all kind of started out doing mainly gaming streamers. You know, Asmon was notoriously doing World of Warcraft stuff. He still kind of
Dr. Pepper and not taking a shower.
The Roach King, as they call him, because of his house and stuff. But he's cleaned up since then, but who knows how dirty he is now.
I've not taken a shower for 2 weeks and I don't stink, and I'm like, bet.
I still think it's just a troll job.
You think he's a work?
Huh?
You think it's a work?
Yeah, I think he does that shit just because he knows it annoys people. Like, people believe it. Because, you know, he'll see him in the same shirt, but it doesn't mean he's not taking showers. Like, no one sees what's going on. It's just like his $2 steaks. I mean, I don't think that dude eats like that every day.
I think he smells, and I don't think he takes showers, and I believe it. Like, he looks like it.
Yeah, but the vibe of OTK's initial events was often loose and low stakes. Streamers drank and laughed. Living spaces were cluttered, obviously. Camera angles were awkward, and so on and so on. So, like, you know, the way that they lived and streamed, it was just like, I mean, some of these guys were streaming for like 24/7 and sometimes like days on end.
It was almost like a frat house. They all kind of lived together, and, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, they really built a nice platform, because even when Emaru and Extra Emily came on board, like, you had to have your own following in order to be included into OTK. So you already had to put the work in to build up their following base. So they both had pretty good followings when they came in. The issue that I think that OTK is facing since the departure of Tectone and Asmongold is that there's just not enough interesting people there. And Miskiff is, you know, the most interesting thing about OTK these days is when they do OnlyFans, is when they're doing the hardcore World of Warcraft runs with Soda Poppin'. So it's like, that's really the only time that even shows any kind of interest, because at least it's all gaming and there's really no drama. They're just, except for when players die and stuff, which is Soda Poppin' loses his head on. But, you know, you want to do the World of Warcraft voice, go ahead.
Yeah. I was wondering, if you could get me a special pet so that I could pick up all those special little things on the side when I do my side quest.
Okay, let's get to some of the controversies. We'll start with Mr. Campbell because that was one that we did talk about some time ago.
Another founder.
Yep.
Oh, that's the rapist.
Yes, that's the one that was being accused of rape. Now, granted,
Okay, I can't. I'm sorry. I said he's the rapist. He's the one who was accused of sexual abuse.
yes,
Sexual assault. We have not heard anything.
Well, the last thing was, so it says in December 2022, Campbell, another founder, resigned from OTK following sexual assault allegations. It was said that after he left and everything else, that Campbell was going to put out this big statement proving his innocence, but he never did it. And I don't remember exactly because it just says he more or less disappeared off the internet until 2024, at which point news broke that he filed a defamation suit against one of his accusers for $3.6 million in damages. Aftermath reached out to Campbell's lawyer for more details about the current status of the case, but did not receive a reply. Smaller controversy also took place in 2022, like Hoyt getting suspended from Twitch for the platform what he called hateful and unmoderated conduct in his Diablo Immortal chat. So I don't remember that one too much. For example, the annual OTK Expo, which began in 2022, is an attempt at a more script and staged prim and proper video game showcase, ultimately suffered as a result of scandals, according to ex-OTK staff. We cared deeply about indie games, indie developers, and the people in the industry. A former OTK employee told Aftermath of the OTK Expo.
But you saw earlier in this article that there was a whole big layoff of OTK staff.
Yeah, and you have to kind of take what these people say with a grain of salt too, because whenever you're disgruntled about something, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what they feel like is the truth, but not necessarily what the actual facts are.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
World of Warcraft, a sports company called Classic Duo League.
Just want to kind of get to where some of the more. Okay, so this one will be fine.
Scroll
crew. So I will put this link in the description as well, just for those that know, so they can go and. So the Aspen Gold problem. In late 2024 arrived, and Hoyt, who'd begun consistently banging the anti-DEI drum to his millions of viewers the year prior, made his radicalization impossible to ignore by going on racist rant. Now, it wasn't a racist rant. That's disingenuous by Grayson. I'm sorry. Against Palestinians. That wasn't really what he was doing, but, it did come off that way a little bit just because of his generalization. But anyone who knows him has known he wasn't racist against him. He just made a poor statement about it, the whole situation, which he apologized for, which I can't say Frogan and those people who have said nasty things about hoping that American soldiers get PTSD. They've never apologized for that shit, so fuck them. Anyway, in October, calling them inferior and adding that I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked in their laws are getting genocided. So that's his comment that he made, to which he apologized for, said I fucked up, shouldn't have generalized like that. So that Twitch suspended Hoyt, and he apologized for his statement shortly after. At the time, he also stepped away from leadership duties at OTK, Starforge, and Mad Mushroom, which Starforge was his big thing, was his gaming computer company that he was a part of, that he represented. However, in the months that followed, the overall tenure of Hoyt's broadcast did not change. After Trump got reelected in November, Hoyt leaned further into far-right politics. That's also not true. I can tell you he's been balanced about it. He does lean in that direction a little bit, but he's not totally with everything that goes on over there. That's a ridiculous statement. What are you doing? She just leaves.
Somebody was trying to chew the push pins off of the wall.
Is that a push pin? Asmongold's comments in the Middle East were kind of the nail in the coffin for those who got us laid off. So this is the ex-employees.
Oh, so they're saying that they got laid off from his comments?
It's possible that because he has editors now. The one editor that still works with him, everybody likes him because he's kind of funny. He does
but he's not with OTK anymore, so he's independent.
Right. Well, he might have come with OTK too. He might just left with Asma. I don't know how many were left. Or the thing is, we don't really know why these employees were actually laid off, even if they say that they say the nail in the coffin. But that doesn't necessarily mean like what was their role in that.
Oh, look, my plan's moving forward, and he's got a disgusting bedroom, and I'm like, yeah, I can't listen to you because you don't bathe.
Says, why would you want to be a part of an indie game show when Asmongold just spouts about DEI all the time? It's very contradictory, says another ex-OTK, referencing the OTK Expo. It just sucks that Asmongold became so radicalized. Again, this is very gaslighting from Grayson here. One thing that we've talked about, and I know Aswan has said countless times, is that you can have inclusion and diversity with your gaming and your industry, your shows, movies, whatever. But when you're trying to force a square peg into the round hole just because you need to have it there and it doesn't make sense to the story or the script, it's problematic. And this is one thing that people on the left are not understanding whenever we have this debate. They keep thinking that,
they think that people are anti-DEI, but we're like, no, write the correct story to represent DEI.
Yeah, I know. It's just ingenuous because you can't have a discussion with people when all they say is like, oh, the minute you challenge something like that where it's been forced into a game, and this is the thing. We watch it with the entertainment industry with movies and stuff where no one is really care about this. No one wants to go see this slop because if you're going to do stuff like this, if you're going to be inserting this kind of stuff, like you have to make the movies enjoyable. You have to make the games enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm all for girl power, but like write a strong woman.
And there's been strong women in movies and entertainment for years.
Let's start naming them off. Like, okay, Ripley from Alien.
Yeah.
I am all for it. I am pro DEI when it's appropriate, but don't like force a woman character or a person of color character down someone's throat
Well, one of the bigger problems too is now, like when it comes to gaming, right? They rather, and even with movies, they rather make movies and then change the original identity of the person. So, like the Little Mermaid. So instead of making a white redheaded girl playing Ariel, we want to make her black. And it's like,
yeah, she still had red hair.
But the problem is that why not just write a brand new movie with a character that you can do for that character? Like, there's no, to me, it's gaslighting and as well as like just kind of like pandering to forcibly change something that so many people like. Look at the latest Snow White. Again, it really has nothing to do with Zegler's race, but it has to do with everything she's been saying outside of that on the PR run to lead up to the movie's release. So she hates the original fucking movie and she sits there and badmouths about, you know, the prince is stalking Snow White and he forcibly kisses her. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's so fucking insane. It's like they don't understand the romance about it or they can't detach themselves from reality.
Or they've never read the grim fairy tale about what really happens.
Of course, Neko goes to the far side of it, to the really dark side of fairy tales. But
if this bitch is the Disney side, come on now. Do you know what happens in Cinderella? The stepsisters cut off their fucking heels so it fits in the fucking glass slipper. This is fairy tales are not sweet and great things to read to your children. So she took something that's already kind of grim and she's like, and then she tried to make it whatever I'm a strong boss bitch. I'm going to make these dwarves clean for me because I'm a boss bitch. Read the original Snow White. Read it. Read the original Cinderella.
So now, like later on, Mizkif, because after the fucking Japan shit, he comes out and people were asking him whether or not he was still part of OTK because people were pushing, of course, to have him removed from OTK, and he was removed once where he kind of stepped back, but he came back. He was still like a partner or whatever. And hey, what's going on, Tony? How you doing, buddy? So he did on video did say that he was still part of OTK, but he says that because they don't really do a whole lot like they used to, like it's like OTK is just basically nothing now. It's just a name, and that's
wow, that's pretty bullshit.
Well, but he's being honest,
I know.
and he's truth, because like again, there's not enough interest with OTK in terms of the people that are actually still remaining. They actually recently, the two girls, there's a couple other ones, S-Fan, they were all talking about OTK's future. I'm like,
don't you remember?
No one gives a shit.
They used to have, we watched this on YouTube. They used to have like, they would like vote who's like, I don't know, like house mother and on the, yeah, really? It would be like Mizkif and what the fuck is his name that we're talking about, and the girls, and they would have their own little like private thing. And this is before they even got like, they had like a super like serious rise, and it just plateaued and before they even had their big like meteoric rise, if I'm saying that properly, they were really like nothing. They were just like a bunch of people who like to play video games together.
And that's exactly what they were. But now it's like, as they try to sort of, what's the term I want to use? Mix up their streams. Like they wanted to try different things to get, like you can only game for so long. I mean, I still see guys like Zyru or Soda Pop and them that they constantly just play games. That's how they stream. They talk to their people and stuff, but they don't really dive into politics or anything else. They just strictly talk games. And that's a lot of times that's a smart thing to do, because if you still got enough of a following and
they just want to watch you play games.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of people do. But like Asbon chose at some point to start branching out to talk about social issues and about drama on the internet. And even though he's one of those guys that doesn't really care about the drama per se, he will talk about it. And then, of course, that leads to other streamers and content creators talking about him, talking about that. So it's like one big circle jerk. Because even with the stuff with, and I don't want to get too much into that, because it's a whole fucking other thing with Content Cop and Ethan and Hassan and all that.
Who the fuck is Content Cop?
It's a guy named iDubbbz, and like it's a whole other fucking crazy mess.
My brain hurts now.
That's basically what Asbon was saying, is like he's laughing at the drama, but he still does. He basically grifts off of it because he wants to. People want him to react to it. That's how it is. His followers say, Asbon, you gotta check this video out, man. It's hilarious. And so Asbon does, and then when he does, Hassan gets pissed off at him.
That's what you just said, Hassan.
Yeah. So he knows. And it's like Hassan and his crew. And I can play you a video if you want to have a little bit of fun, because I did say.
Do you have like one video that I could just?
It's a real quick clip, but I call it the clown show. But this is iDubbbz was friends with Ethan, guy from H3H3. Remember when we talked to Keffel shit? That's Ethan. So this is mocking Ethan, because iDubbbz and
a
Ethan
problem.
Well, they used to be good friends, and now they got drama. And so what does iDubbbz do? He goes and he teams up with Hassan and his cronies to mock Ethan. And it's funny. It's a cool video.
Jesus
it's funny.
Christ.
But it just shows you how fucking hilarious they get.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Get your eyebrows waxed.
Wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up,
Ethan, wake up.
wake up, Ethan.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up. Since anyone? Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
We're not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
Wake
Wake
up.
up, Ethan. Just wake up.
So yeah, that was a little get.
This is so cringe.
Yeah, you guys, come on. You're not gonna maybe have to explain all this shit, are you? Really?
Yes, you're gonna have to. And then
okay.
Jedi is like, "What the hell is this?"
All right, let me see if I can give you
let's
the
get
Cliff Notes version because, like, I'll have to give like remember the priest from Spaceballs when he's trying to get them married. And he's like, "I'm gonna give you a short version," and that's basically what I'm about to do with this because. So the guy in the cop suit, his name is iDubbbz. He used to do some content called Content Cop years ago. Big deal. He used to be really funny. Picked on anybody he wanted to, right? Didn't matter. Now he was also friends with Ethan and friends with Denims. Like a lot of people you saw in this video, he's friends with like on X or whatever. What happened was Ethan and Hassan used to do a show together because they both are lefties who care about other parts of the world, like kind of like disagree with some of America's involvement in certain things. So they were fine. They were doing a show together and doing quite well. They got along, and until it got to the point where they had to talk about Israel versus Palestine, Gaza, and that's when they started butting heads and had a falling out because they no longer talk to each other. Really, they agree on certain things in life, just not this. And so there's a lot of bickering back and forth. But Ethan's wife, Hilla, used to be in IDF with Israel. They're both Israeli, both Jews, obviously. Hassan, of course, has issues with Israel with what's going on. The girls, Frogan and Denims, who you saw in the video, are also very much, they kind of ride Hassan's coattails, so they wait when Hassan goes live to kind of latch on to whatever he's talking about, so they use their feeds for him. So it's a really big deal there. Sean the Black, who was in there, he's kind of a much smaller content creator, but he's obviously friends with Hassan and them. So anyway.
And his name is Sean the Black.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there's an ongoing war now. Obviously, we haven't even talked about Destiny, who is like a third party.
Oh, Destiny.
Yeah, so it's like a third party thing.
The heroin addict.
I don't know if he's a heroin addict. He was the one that initially had a wife that he didn't mind like sleeping around with other people.
Oh, the
open marriage. Yes. That's what you remember, the cuck. Yeah, so that's like a whole other thing with him too, because they're all at war. It's like the triangle of death between the three of them. Anyway, so what ends up happening? Okay, so Denims is the little hot chick in there with the police hat that she's borrowing.
She's the hot chick.
Well, she's hot, but she's an idiot. But you know,
that's what you consider a hot chick.
Not as hot as you, but you know.
Yeah, I know, but
let me finish here.
Okay.
Can I please? Because I'm trying to give the short version of this whole thing. You keep interrupting. So Denims in her chat, they start talking about Ethan and like supposedly bad things that are going on at home with his kids. So people in the chat start saying to call CPS on Ethan.
Oh, okay, that's going a little far.
Yes. And so this erupts into a big war because that actually happens. CPS gets called over at their house. So
just some fucking people who
they don't like his politics.
They figured out where he lived and they called CPS.
Yes. Yep. And what happens is iDubbbz, also known as Ian, who is friends with Ethan at this point, his wife Anissa is liking posts and liking tweets from Denims and them and keep in mind, Ian and his wife Anissa both been to Ethan's house, like they were friends. So what happens is when Anissa starts like liking these posts that are being said about the CPS stuff, it bothers Ethan and Hilla, which makes sense. So Ethan, even though he doesn't name Ian by name, he says
names.
He says, why isn't people who are considered my friend speaking up and telling people, like, you know, we're not abusive parents. Like, why wouldn't you say this publicly? And Dubs was like trying to do it privately, and he's like, no, man, I need you to speak up. You have a big platform. This guy has like 7 million followers.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, why wouldn't you speak up on this? Because you've been to my house. And so now it's also hurtful because he's friends with Hassan and all them, which I don't really blame Ian for being friends with them, because you can be friends with whoever you want. I've told people that before. Like, I don't have to agree with people. If you want to be friends with them, that's okay, but I don't need to hang out with you and them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be there. But as you pointed out, CPS is a serious fucking thing. And it's a serious crime to go and send people to your house.
To like figure out where he lives, and it's people in the chat, and oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
To watch that video. Yeah, they are. They really are. And so, but again, like, I'm not a fan of all three of them. Like Ethan, Destiny, Hassan, they're all trash to me, and anybody that's associated with them. But the reality is that's sort of where the drama comes out, and that's why now Dubs did this video, which unfortunately for Dubs, like his attempt to throw Ethan under the bus backfired heavily, because even though he's got a lot of likes on his video, he's got more dislikes. So it's not working in his favor in terms of trying to like mess with Ethan in some way, because the way that Dubs was trying to do his video was both poke fun at him.
Yeah, he was trying to be funny.
But then at the end, he's like trying to make it sound like he cares about Ethan's well-being and his mental health and all this. But even when he goes and tries to get that crew to say something nice about Ethan, Hassan doesn't say anything nice. And then on top of that, Shonda Black, who did, puts out a video later saying that, oh, why was I forced to put out a nice video when Hassan wasn't? If we had a choice, I would have changed my mind. I was like, it's all fake. So like, it's really kind of a bad look to go and try to like, you know, pretend that you're somebody's friend. And like, and this is a case where some of what Ian said about like, he shouldn't be given ultimatums about who you want to be friends with. But when somebody like your wife is liking posts about people calling CPS on you when you've been there and you know the situation, that's fucked up. And that's why I think Ethan is right that fucking Ian should have come out publicly and said, yeah, I've been to this guy's house. That's not the case. People need to chill out with that. Like, that's uncool. But the fact that Ian didn't is really bad look.
It is a bad look, because I would hope that
yeah. Well,
I would hope people would get the difference between like people doing a show, you know, like joking and doing a show versus like real life. And I don't know who was the official CPS caller.
Well, the thing is, like, and there is some debate because people are saying that, well, you know, was it people in chat that did it, or?
And that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if it was people in chat who.
But the problem is, like, Denims is someone who's going to kind of ride the coattails of her own following. Like, you know, the thing is, if you're going to have a lot of followers and people that like you for your takes or whatever, you also have to be brutally honest with them. Like, you just can't let them say whatever the fuck they want. Like, if somebody got in my chat and started railing off racist comments, I'd ban them immediately. Like, there's no hesitation.
Excuse me. Sorry. Sneeze.
Yeah. Actually, because see, the problem is, Jedi, whenever I go into my messages for Facebook on my phone, it automatically puts me into that fucking call. I can't switch it off where it doesn't automatically put me in there.
This was him. Hold on.
So I wasn't trying to join the chat because I was just trying to go through my messages. Huh? Wake up, Nubis. Wake up.
Hold on.
What are you trying to do? You're trying to do fucking Buffalo Bill?
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me.
She's been drinking, you can tell already.
My wine glass is empty.
Well, we're about done here anyway. We've said our piece on this.
Goodbye, home.
What is she tucking? Yeah, right? She could have got the purple bomber out.
The purple monster.
Anyway, yeah, you can comment on these topics if you want. Let us know your feelings. Unlike X, I don't get to let people say whatever the fuck they want. So if you want to post your opinions, fine. I'm fine with your debates and you coming at me with a civil discussion about how you feel about either one of these. I'm fine with that. But keep it civil and no crazy shit. Okay. Anywho, coming up for the channel at some point next week, I'm doing a live unboxing on Monday for some stuff.
Oh God, does that mean I have to get it done by Monday?
What? The what? Camera. Oh no. I'm just gonna show the box.
Okay.
Because that's gonna be a work in progress.
That's quite a bit of work.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff that's come in that I want to show. Some stuff that I haven't coming still. What?
Sit your skinny ass down.
Yeah, right. Trying to show. Yeah, see, even Jedi's trying to get the fuck down. Like the chat's telling you to fucking chill.
No.
Wait, you're spanking your ass now?
Jedi told me to get down. He wants me to dance more.
Get down.
And then Mr. Tony of the Dead said, "Sit your skinny ass down."
Oh my god.
See, this is how you get more followers. I can dance.
No, this isn't OnlyFans. Like you can't do that.
I'm not naked.
Yet.
Am I gonna get naked? Maybe.
So I had a live unboxing on Monday. Then on Wednesday, Mr. Tony and Dead and I are doing both our Ghouls of Midnight picks. I've chosen Kill Her Goats. He's chosen the Winnie the Pooh Blood Honey Part 2 or second one. Thursday, Mr. Poet and I are doing a live draft coverage for the first round.
Can I do that with you? What time does it start?
You can be on. It's going to be. Actually, I think it's late. I think it's 7. We're going to be. I have it at 5, but it's 7.
Yeah, but
we're starting.
Doesn't the draft start?
It's 8, but we get prep.
Christ.
You don't have to jump in until 8, but I'm saying is
I have to wake up the next morning, but I love the fucking draft.
Well, but our pick's at 20, so you can go to bed after that if you want. It's like
20 is going to be like 11:30.
No, that's usually when it closes out. It's only like 5 minutes per pick, so.
Did you know that there's a Make-A-Wish kid who's supposed to be doing the Broncos announcement? It's not.
Bronco Billy. The way that you laid that out was like, you had to pause. Like I'm like, is this Bronco Billy?
Apparently, there is a Make-A-Wish kid who is supposed to be doing the.
I'm gonna go find that clip.
Damn it. I gotta look it up because if I don't do it.
Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, live draft.
Oh, the general manager.
Thursday. Saturday, there's 2 things going on with Kevin Lambert. We have Into the Darkness, where we're covering the Wreck movies. We're covering that franchise. Yeah. And then later.
That's the haunted house ones, right?
No, that's the LLC.
Oh, yeah.
But later in the evening, I'm going again with Kevin Lambert as he's doing his education channel.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish recipient Samuel Barrett to announce the Broncos' first pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Not Bronco Billy.
And then later, the education segment that Kevin does, when covering the heavy metal music, and we're going to talk a couple hours on that stuff. So should be a lot of fun.
Make sure you talk about Ronnie James Dio.
Well, yeah, we'll cover a lot of that. So
do you want me to make you like an outline so that you hit all the important heavy metal?
I've already done that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are you sure I should review it, maybe?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So thank you all for joining us in the chat as always. Thank you, NECA, for entertaining the best way you know how. And we'll see you next time on the Metalheads Podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. Oh wait, more comments. Slide. You don't even know how true that statement is.
It's never sloppy. He has never complained, okay?
I didn't say I complained. It's just like, so never mind. We're not getting into this. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good night.